Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt tension, without anyone saying a word, or met someone whose mere presence lifted your mood without them doing anything? That's not coincidence, that's frequency, and right now, your frequency is designing your life, not your job, not your bank account, not your past, not even your potential. It's the invisible signal you're emitting every single second. And here's the truth, if you don't take charge of it, it will take charge of you. What if I told you that your frequency is responsible for your success, or your setbacks, that your energy field, your internal state, your vibration, is what's creating your reality? Stick with me, because by the end of this speech, you won't just understand this truth, you'll know exactly how to shift your frequency and rewrite your life. Have you ever truly stopped and considered what everything around you is made of? Not just in terms of matter, but in terms of movement, vibration, energy. Every single thing in existence, from the stars in the galaxy to the cells in your body, is vibrating. Everything is energy, and that includes you. This is not just philosophy, it's physics. Science has proven that at the most fundamental level, all matter is made up of atoms. Those atoms are composed of particles that are in constant motion. So while something may look solid, like a rock or a table or even your own hand, it's actually a symphony of vibrating particles held together by energy fields. That same energetic structure applies to your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors. You are a walking, breathing, feeling field of energy. What does this mean for your life? It means your state of being. Your internal environment isn't just something you feel inside. It radiates outward. You emit a frequency. When you are stressed, anxious, or fearful, you radiate a low, dense vibration. People can feel it. The room can feel it. You feel it. On the other hand, when you're calm, joyful, clear, and centered, your vibration is higher, lighter, and more expansive. That energy shifts everything, from how people perceive you to what kind of circumstances you begin attracting. Think about it. Have you ever had a day where nothing seems to go right? You wake up frustrated, spill your coffee, hit traffic, get into an argument, and it just snowballs. That's not just bad luck. That's resonance. You're locked into a frequency that attracts more of the same. Your mind, emotions, and actions become aligned with that lower state, and life reflects it right back to you. Now consider the opposite. Think of a time when you felt completely at peace, maybe after a deep conversation, a long walk in nature, or a moment of true gratitude. Somehow, people seem kinder, things go smoother. You're not forcing anything, it just flows. That's not random. That's you vibrating at a higher frequency, and life responds. When you understand that everything is energy, the game changes. You stop trying to control people or situations. You stop blaming others. Instead, you start tuning your own frequency. You realize that the way to change your outer world is to change your inner energy first. And this is where awareness becomes crucial. Most people are completely unaware of the frequency they are operating on. They are tuned into stress, fear, negativity, and distraction without even realizing it. It's like living next to a loud, buzzing generator and thinking it's just normal background noise. But that noise, those thoughts, habits, and emotions, are affecting your energy every single day. They are shaping how you think, feel, act, and ultimately, what kind of life you experience. The beautiful thing is, your frequency is not fixed. You can shift it. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not defined by what happened to you in the past. You are energy in motion, and like tuning a radio, you can change the station. You can choose what you focus on, how you breathe, how you move, how you speak. Each one of these is a lever that can shift your frequency upward or downward. When you decide to become intentional about your energy, your life begins to transform. You start catching yourself when you slip into low frequency patterns. You start practicing presence instead of panic. You begin choosing calm over chaos, growth over gossip, movement over stagnation, and little by little, you rise. People will notice, not because you're louder or more aggressive, but because your energy becomes unmistakable. You walk into a room, and something about you feels different, not flashy, not fake, but real, grounded, alive. That's the power of a person who knows their energy, owns their energy, and protects their energy. So when we say, everything is energy, understand that it's not just a nice quote to put on a wall. It's the foundation of your reality. It's the silent architect behind your relationships, your career, your health, your sense of purpose. And it's your responsibility, because if everything is energy, and it is, then your frequency is not just shaping how you feel today, it's shaping your entire life. Would you like the next keynote expanded too? You don't get in life what you want. You get what you are. That's a truth many people never fully grasp. They chase goals, chase people, chase money, and wonder why nothing seems to work, why the right doors don't open, why the same patterns keep repeating. It's not because they aren't trying hard enough. It's because they're tuned to the wrong frequency. You attract not what you hope for, but what you vibrate with. You are a magnet. Whether you realize it or not, every moment of your life, you are sending out a signal. Through your thoughts, your emotions, your words, your body language. That signal is your frequency. And just like a magnet, that frequency pulls things toward you that match it. Positive or negative, high or low. Life doesn't give you what you ask for with your words. It responds to the energy you're putting out through your being. Think about the relationships in your life. Have you noticed how people of similar energy seem to find each other? You can't fake energy. You might pretend to be happy, confident, or successful on the outside, but if internally you're filled with self-doubt, fear, or resentment, the energy you emit will always tell the truth. And that energy will attract others who are vibrating on the same level, people who reflect back your insecurities, your unresolved wounds, your limiting beliefs. On the flip side, when someone has done the work, when they've raised their frequency through self-awareness, discipline, and emotional clarity, you can feel it. They don't chase, they attract, not because they're trying to be impressive, but because their energy is aligned, clean, and powerful. They attract growth-minded people, they attract opportunity, they attract peace, because that is what they are radiating. This principle applies to every area of life. If you're vibrating with scarcity, you'll constantly feel like you're not enough, like you don't have enough, like life is a competition. You'll attract situations that reinforce that mindset, missed chances, unreliable people, short-term fixes. But if you shift into abundance, not by just saying positive affirmations, but by actually embodying trust, gratitude, and generosity, then suddenly your life begins to reflect a new reality. You start attracting stability, prosperity, and flow not by force, but by resonance. You attract what you are, so if you want to attract better, start becoming better. If you want deeper love, build deeper self-love. If you want more respect, live with integrity. If you want clarity in your life, quiet the noise inside your mind. It always starts with you. We're taught to look outside of ourselves for answers. If I get that job, if that person loves me, if I can move to that city, then I'll be happy. But the truth is, your external circumstances are just a mirror. If your inner world is full of chaos, your outer world will mirror chaos. If you feel lost inside, your life will reflect confusion. There is no escaping that. Energy doesn't lie, and here's the powerful thing. When you shift your internal state, your external world follows. This isn't just theory. It's how the universe is wired. You may not control everything that happens, but you control how you respond. You control how you show up. And that control, that alignment, changes the energy you emit, and therefore changes what comes into your life. Let this truth sink in. You are not stuck because life is unfair. You are stuck because you've been unconsciously vibrating at the same frequency for too long. And the good news is frequency can be changed. You are not a victim of your past. You are not sentenced to a certain future. You are energy. You are movement. You are potential in motion. But it starts with radical responsibility. It means looking at your life and asking, what am I attracting right now? And then taking the even harder step. What about me is resonating with this? That's not easy. It requires honesty, but that honesty gives you power, because once you see it, you can shift it. You can stop blaming others and start tuning your own energy. You attract what you are. So become the person you want to meet. Become the energy you wish to receive. Become the frequency you dream of experiencing. Stop waiting. Stop wishing. Start vibrating at that level now, and you'll see. Your entire life will rise to meet you. Let me know if you want the next keynote expanded or adapted for a speech, presentation, or performance format. There's a truth many people are unwilling to confront. The reason their life feels stuck, heavy, or chaotic isn't because of bad luck, other people, or fate. It's because they are operating on a low frequency. Your frequency is like the lens through which you experience everything. And when that frequency is low, your reality reflects it back to you in every possible way. Low frequency doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're broken. It simply means your energy is being consumed by emotions, thoughts, and habits that pull you down. Think of emotions like fear, anger, jealousy, guilt, shame, doubt, or frustration. These aren't just fleeting feelings. They are energetic states that vibrate at a lower level. And when you live in them day after day, whether consciously or unconsciously, they shape your perception of life. In a low-frequency state, your thinking narrows. You start to see the world through a lens of scarcity. You feel threatened, insecure, reactive. Your body tenses. Your breath shortens. You become easily triggered. You start expecting the worst, and ironically, it keeps showing up. That's not coincidence. That's energy alignment. The quality of your thoughts and emotions lowers your ability to see clearly, make wise decisions, and stay grounded in the present. You attract confusion, resistance, and unnecessary drama, not because you want it, but because you're tuned into that vibration. It's like trying to tune into a beautiful song on the radio, but your dial is off just slightly. All you get is static, distortion, and noise, and no matter how hard you listen, you can't hear the melody. Life works the same way. When your frequency is low, you can't fully experience the beauty, joy, or opportunity that exists right now, not because it isn't there, but because you aren't tuned into it. What's dangerous about low frequency living is that it becomes addictive. People get used to complaining. They become attached to their stress. They bond with others over negativity. Misery becomes familiar, even comfortable. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to recognize that it's a state you're choosing, not one you're doomed to live in. Low frequency also blocks growth. When you're vibrating low, you resist change, you doubt yourself, you self-sabotage. Opportunities may come, but you don't feel ready, so you turn them down or ignore them. People who could help you appear, but you push them away or mistrust them. Your energy says no, even when your mouth says yes. Why? Because deep down you don't feel worthy, you don't feel prepared, and that vibration creates a life of limitation. A low-frequency life is survival mode. It's waking up just to get through the day. It's grinding without purpose. It's reacting instead of responding. It's existing instead of living. You feel drained, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And the more drained you are, the harder it is to lift yourself out. But here's the most important truth. You are not your low frequency. You may have been conditioned to live there. You may have experienced pain, trauma, rejection, or failure that pushed you into that vibration, but you are not stuck there. Frequency is fluid. It can be shifted, but it won't shift through more effort or struggle. It shifts through awareness. You first have to see the patterns, the way your mind loops the same negative thoughts, the way you hold onto grudges, doubt, or fear like a comfort blanket, the way you react instead of pausing. Once you see it, you can choose differently. You can pause, breathe, reflect, shift. That moment of awareness becomes your moment of power. You don't have to solve everything at once. You only have to interrupt the frequency. One breath, one new thought, one small action in a higher vibration. That's all it takes to start climbing out. And when you start operating even slightly above that old pattern, your reality begins to shift with you, because life doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. And if you're being low frequency, if you're constantly radiating fear, tension, anger, or hopelessness, then you will create a life that reflects those emotions. But the second you raise your energy even a little, the world starts to look different. New people show up, ideas flow, solutions appear, not because life suddenly changed, but because you did. So if your life feels heavy right now, look within. Don't run from it, don't numb it, tune into it. Recognize the frequency you've been operating on, and then ask yourself, is this who I want to be? Is this the life I want to live? Because a low frequency creates a low reality, and only you can change the dial. Let me know if you'd like the fourth keynote expanded as well. When your frequency is high, everything in your life begins to shift, not just subtly, but significantly. This isn't about superficial happiness or pretending everything is okay. A high frequency is a deep, internal state where your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned. It's a state of clarity, purpose, and presence. And when you begin to live from that space consistently, you start creating real impact in your own life and in the lives of everyone around you. A high frequency is not loud. It doesn't need to be flashy or aggressive. It doesn't shout for attention. In fact, it's often quiet, still, and powerful in its calm. But when someone walks into a room with that energy, you can feel it. You may not be able to explain it, but something about them feels magnetic. They don't force anything, yet things naturally fall into place around them. They don't chase people or opportunities, but both are drawn to them. That's what happens when you're living at a higher frequency. You become aligned, and alignment always carries more power than force. When you're vibrating high, you think clearly. You're not constantly reacting to life. You're responding with intention. Your emotions are balanced, not because you never feel pain or anger, but because you've learned how to process those emotions without being controlled by them. You stop being a prisoner to your environment. You stop blaming circumstances. You begin to create rather than constantly respond. High frequency also brings with it a sense of purpose. It's nearly impossible to operate on a high level and feel directionless. That's because clarity is a byproduct of higher energy. When you raise your frequency, the fog clears. You know what matters. You become deeply connected to your values, your mission, your higher self. You don't waste energy on things that drain you. You don't stay stuck in toxic cycles. You don't argue over trivial things. Why? Because your energy is too valuable. You've learned how to protect it, how to cultivate it, and how to use it wisely. Living in a high-frequency state doesn't mean you live a problem-free life. It means you face challenges with more strength and less fear. It means you approach setbacks with curiosity, not defeat. You see every situation as feedback, not failure. You become more creative, more open, and more grounded. This shift in perspective is one of the clearest signs that your frequency is rising, because you're no longer viewing life as something that happens to you, but something that happens through you. And here's what many people miss. A high frequency is contagious. When you're grounded, others feel safer around you. When you're inspired, you awaken inspiration in others. When you're kind without expecting anything in return, that energy spreads. That's how you create high impact, not by forcing change on others, but by becoming so centered in your own energy that it naturally affects the people around you. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. You could be a teacher, a leader, an artist, a parent, a student, an entrepreneur. Your real power doesn't come from your title. It comes from your energy. The impact you make is not in what you say, but in who you are. When you walk into a room, do you bring light or tension? Do you raise the vibration or lower it? Are you a source of clarity or confusion? These questions matter more than most people realize, because energy is felt long before words are heard. The truth is, you don't need to have it all figured out. Raise your frequency. You just need to start aligning your habits with who you want to become. Start choosing thoughts that empower you. Start moving your body, breathing deeply, meditating, reflecting. Start eating foods that fuel you instead of drain you. Speak words that build, not break. Let go of grudges that weigh down your spirit. Spend time with people who elevate you. Protect your peace like it's gold, because it is. Every single thing you do either lifts your frequency or lowers it. There is no neutral, and every small choice you make becomes part of the energy you bring into the world. So if you want to make a real difference, if you want to live a life of power, purpose, and impact, it starts by raising your frequency. Not someday, now. Not when you get the job, or find the partner, or have more time. Your frequency is your responsibility and your opportunity in this very moment, because when your frequency is high, your impact is undeniable. Would you like the fifth keynote expanded next? Nothing changes until you become aware. Awareness is the key that unlocks every transformation. It is the beginning of all growth, all healing, all evolution. Without awareness, we live in autopilot, repeating the same thoughts, the same behaviors, and the same emotions over and over, wondering why nothing in our life ever shifts. We think we're stuck because of outside circumstances, but most of the time, we're simply unaware of the energy we're carrying. You can't change what you don't notice. You can't shift a pattern you don't recognize. You can't rise to a higher frequency if you're unaware of the one you're operating on. That's why awareness is so powerful. It interrupts the unconscious cycle. It pauses the internal noise long enough for you to see what's actually happening beneath the surface. Awareness isn't about judging yourself or feeling guilty for the past. It's about noticing, with clarity and honesty, where your energy has been going. Are you constantly thinking negative thoughts? Are you reacting instead of responding? Are you surrounding yourself with low vibration environments and calling it normal? Once you become aware, you can no longer pretend you don't see it, and that moment, uncomfortable as it may be, is the turning point. You see, most people are not consciously choosing their life. They're living out of old programming. Old wounds, old stories, and those patterns, if left unchecked, quietly shape your frequency. You don't even realize that your energy has been hijacked by fear, resentment, comparison, or distraction. You wake up tired, not because you didn't sleep, but because your mind never rested. You feel uninspired, not because life is empty, but because you've forgotten how to tune into your own presence. That's where awareness comes in. It snaps you out of the trance. The moment you become aware, you become powerful. You're no longer blindly reacting to life. You're observing it. You're learning from it, and you begin to realize something profound. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the one witnessing those experiences, and if you can witness them, you can change them. That is the beginning of freedom. Awareness creates space, space between trigger and reaction, space between thought and belief, space between habit and choice, and in that space, a new possibility is born. You can begin to ask better questions. Is this thought serving me? Is this feeling rooted in truth or just in fear? Is this action aligned with the person I want to become? That kind of internal dialogue elevates your frequency instantly, because awareness pulls you out of the lower vibrations of unconscious living and into the higher vibrations of intentional living. It doesn't matter how far off track you've gone. It doesn't matter how long you've been stuck in the same loop. The moment you become aware of the pattern, you have the power to disrupt it. That's how change begins, not through force or willpower alone, but through the simple act of seeing clearly, seeing yourself, seeing your choices, seeing the energy you've been feeding, and realizing you can choose differently. Awareness also makes you more compassionate. When you understand how unconscious most of your own suffering was, you begin to look at others differently. You stop judging so quickly. You start realizing that most people are just operating from their own unhealed pain, their own blind spots. That doesn't mean you accept poor behavior, but it does mean you no longer let it drag you into the same frequency. Awareness gives you emotional intelligence. It gives you choice. It gives you peace. But here's the catch. Awareness is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice, a lifelong commitment. You have to keep tuning in, keep observing, keep getting honest with yourself. The more aware you become, the more refined your energy becomes. You start catching subtle shifts. The moment your breath shortens, the second your thoughts turn critical, the instant you slip into fear. And instead of falling back into old reactions, you pause, you breathe, you realign. That's mastery. So if you're ready to change your life, don't look outside. Don't wait for someone to rescue you. Look within. Ask yourself, where is my energy right now? What am I feeding? In clarity or confusion, presence or distraction, growth or avoidance? Because the second you become aware, you're no longer asleep, you're awake. And once you're awake, nothing can stop you from rising. Every single day, you are making a choice, even if you don't realize it. That choice is your frequency. It's not a random feeling or a product of chance. Your frequency is something you create, maintain, or shift moment by moment. Most people live as if their energy is something that just happens to them. They wake up, feel low, get frustrated, stay stuck, and assume that's just how the day is going to go. But what they don't see is that their frequency is not reacting to the world, it's setting the tone for it. Your frequency is a decision, a deliberate alignment. It's how you breathe, how you think, how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you respond to life's curveballs. It's how you show up for yourself when no one's watching. It's the quality of energy you bring into every space you enter. You don't wake up at a high frequency by accident. You build it through consistency, through conscious choice, through habits that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. The mistake many people make is believing that raising their frequency is a one-time event, a big breakthrough, a sudden awakening, a weekend of motivation. But real transformation doesn't work that way. It's not a moment, it's a muscle, and just like any muscle, it only strengthens through repetition, daily effort, daily awareness, daily recalibration. You don't just decide once to live with purpose, peace, and power. You recommit to it every morning. There will be days when you wake up and everything feels off. Days when you're tempted to sink into old patterns, react with anger, numb out, or give up. And in those moments, you are being given a choice: lower your frequency to match the chaos, or raise it to lead yourself through it. That's where the real work happens, not when everything is easy, but when it's hard, when you feel tired, uninspired, or triggered, but you still choose presence, still choose alignment, still choose to be a source of light in the darkness. Your frequency is your responsibility. It's not your partner's job to raise it. Not your coworkers, not your families, not society's. It belongs to you. And the moment you take ownership of it, everything begins to shift. You stop being a victim of the mood you wake up in. You stop waiting for external motivation. You become proactive with your energy. You begin to design your day instead of reacting to it. How do you do that? By paying attention. The first thing you consume in the morning matters. The way you speak to yourself when you look in the mirror matters. The thoughts you entertain in silence matter. The people you surround yourself with, the food you eat, the conversations you allow, all of it either raises or lowers your vibration. There is no neutral. Every choice is either a deposit or a withdrawal from your energy bank. And here's what's beautiful about making frequency a daily choice. You start to gain momentum. What felt difficult at first becomes natural. You no longer need to force positivity or fake confidence. You start radiating it from within, not because life is perfect, but because your alignment is no longer conditional, it's intentional. You've built a foundation strong enough to carry you through the storms, and the world notices. Opportunities come not because you chase them, but because your energy calls them in. People trust you not because you're loud, but because you're consistent. You become a leader not by title, but by presence. That's the power of someone who makes their frequency a priority. They don't wait for life to inspire them. They become the inspiration. So ask yourself, what energy am I choosing today? What vibration am I bringing into my relationships, my work, my thoughts, my body? Am I living at the frequency of the future I want to create? Or am I repeating the frequency of the past I want to escape? No one else can answer that for you. No one else can do it for you. But once you decide, truly decide, to raise your frequency every single day, not when it's convenient, but as a way of life, then you become unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you become stronger, clearer, and more powerful with each passing day. Your frequency is not fixed. It's a choice. Make it count every single day.